Stolen away from him this year by the likes of Tekkz and Dasari. He's been super consistent, but if he wants to be the top dog, if he wants to be the man that's being talked about the most, he knows what he needs to do here. He needs to defeat the prodigy, the young superstar from England, Tekkz. And it is Tekkz on the ball right now with Ronaldo. Back to the original R9 Ronaldo. Very tight pass into Neymar there, who gets it. Could it be an early goal? No, poor pass there from Tekkz, gives NRaseck the ball back. So what can he do now? First time we're seeing NRaseck on the ball. Holds on to it just about. As Vieira finds Hullet. Over to Mendy at left back. Mbappe is the left winger of choice for NRaseck of Team Rogue. Hullet and Vieira sharing the ball and finding Dumfries at right back. Keeping the ball for a good little period here. NRaseck just maybe trying to frustrate Tekkz a little bit. Can Mendy deliver? He does just that. Fix it up. Good chance. Keeper needs to come. Varane saves the day. And Tekkz back on the ball.
Yeah, when you talk about NRaseck, I feel like he does a wonderful job of playing his opposition versus just playing FIFA. And that's why he's had some of the success, or not some, so much success throughout the last couple of years in FIFA. And he doesn't get the appreciation maybe he deserves because he's a rather quiet guy. He's not massively active on social media. You're not going to see him having a bunch of back and forth. And that's very different when you're seeing maybe somebody like Dasari or F2Tekkz. They've had plenty of exchanges this year, which has led to some of that additional hype and people anticipating all their matches.
Indeed. NRaseck on the ball here. Put it into Vieira. Getting into a dangerous place here. Eusebio, got to be a goal, surely. Oh, the extra touch took it wide, but it didn't matter. Left foot finish from Ronaldo. He takes the lead, gets the fist bump from the coach. Tekkz is behind, but he went behind against Kurt.
I think that extra touch actually benefited NRaseck for the finish as well. You got to see the goalkeeper start to move a little bit. He knew where he wanted to put it and what shot selection he was going to go with. But you're absolutely correct in saying that Tekkz has gone down many times, actually, and is able to battle back. It's almost a theme of Tekkz matches. You can get him in the first leg, but typically you can't get him over two.
That is the task ahead of NRaseck here. We'll be commentating the first leg for you before we take a brief break. Ronaldo back to Varane at left back for Tekkz. Ronaldo finding Vieira. He finds R9 Ronaldo. Mendy getting the ball back for NRaseck's side. Virgil van Dijk switches it over to Mendy. Varane's going to switch it again, and NRaseck now has earned the right to be a bit more patient, hold on to the ball for longer. And that's a dispossession, though, that NRaseck won't be happy about. Ronaldo making mincemeat of the defence here. Great recovery from the giant, Virgil van Dijk. Now, we talk about passing stats, and I always say I'd like to see 90% plus from the pros. We've just seen 95% to 97% for these two guys. That is close to perfect. That's what you want to see.
Well, they're both pros, so it makes sense. And they're both in their A game. You're not in the semifinal by accident. You've earned this placement. And there's a lot of time left on the clock, too. I'm expecting both these guys to stick with their original game plans for quite some time.
Tekkz trying to get back in this game. Finds R9 in the box. Oh, what a cutout from Patrick Vieira. And now Ronaldo can go for NRaseck. Eusebio into Neymar. Neymar turns back, finds space. Finds Ronaldo. Dumfries forward from right back. Van Dijk getting high up the pitch now. Mendy. Varane into Hullet. To Mbappe now. It's good from NRaseck. He's got that patient approach. Tekkz struggling to get on the ball here. Waiting for an opportunity to regain possession, but right now Neymar's got it. Over to Mbappe. He flicks it up in it's a very difficult angle to try and get the cross in from there. And Da Costa stopped it. Varane. Straight away though, NRaseck back on the ball.
And on the defensive end, you're seeing him use Mendy, and you're also seeing NRaseck use Dumfries as the fullbacks, which I find always interesting because they're both relatively new foot items that have been introduced to FIFA, and NRaseck's been grinding anywhere between 60 to 100 games per weekend. So he has been playing both platforms. He's been playing against pros, he's been training, and I really feel like it's building his confidence, and maybe even more importantly, you have comfort with new foot items that have been introduced.
Very true, and Tekkz not having the lion's share of possession in this game so far, but don't forget, we've often seen a different Tekkz in the second leg of games. It's not something he's had to rely on too much in this tournament, because he's been pretty proficient in the first leg as well. Right now, NRaseck in charge. Oh, so first time shot from Tekkz, which forces the save from Van der Sar. Didn't get the green timing I'm sure he was looking for, but he gets a corner. Comes in. Van der Sar gets something on it. It's not out of danger, though. It's back to Neymar. Ronaldo. Vieira. Cheeky little pass into R9. Ronaldo finds space, but Patrick Vieira, the NRaseck edition, gets the ball back.
Extremely patient defense there. Waited on the drag back. Kind of baited him out. The best way to defend a variety of skill moves is to almost fake as if you're going to go for a tackle and then you back off. You're trying to bait a mistake or an early skill move.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but if NRaseck was to win this, and he's got 61% possession against F2Tekkz here, if he was to win it, he would have had to go through Dasari and Tekkz, and he would meet Stokes, or we don't know who yet in the final, Stokes or Vinny, but whoever else in the final wouldn't have had to play either of them, would have avoided both Tekkz and Dasari. So what a route NRaseck is having to go through. Oh, great little dummy from Tekkz. That's fantastic. You know what? It's a very simple skill move to do. It's one of the first ones you learn. And as you get better at the game, it stops being effective because it becomes readable. But now these guys have evolved to such a high level, he's brought it back. He's brought it back into the Arsenal. That is unbelievable. Could it be another Adidas play of the day, Mike?
My jaw is dropped. I think that's even better than the Stokes goal in the previous game, and I love the skill moves. But to pull a dummy out in that situation, you're losing a game, hasn't been your best first half. It's kind of a risky maneuver as well, because if you don't execute it right, it can roll right to the goalkeeper. You have to bait it as well. You have to step towards the ball to kind of let it roll in order to get your opponent to kind of dive in for a challenge. It's just beautiful. And this is a good example of F2Tekkz being F2Tekkz.
Yeah, I love that. It's back to basics. It's muscle memory. It's something he would have learned probably a decade ago when he first started playing FIFA at a very, very young age. And you can't really pull that out too often in a game at this level. It gets predictable very quickly. But just once, it's like a little ace up the sleeve you can pull out. And he's done just that. Fantastic from Tekkz. And now an opportunity for you guys to get rewarded. We've been doing Twitch drops throughout the tournament, of course. This is our 11th Twitch drop of the tournament we're about to do. And you've got to make sure you've obviously linked your Twitch accounts to your EA account in order to benefit from these drops, giving away things such as premium gold players packs, rare players packs, and much, much more. So make sure you link your Twitch and EA accounts, and you might be one of the lucky ones who gets rewarded. We're going to jump back into this second half of the first leg soon. 1-1, Mike, what are you thinking?
I'm still in awe with the dummy. I think NRaseck played perfect, and he's not leading at halftime. He had all the possession play, his defense was impeccable, and he made Tekkz pull out something very special. And it looks so simple on screen, but in order to sell the move, to know to use that move, and just under this type of circumstance where that's something that you do have that muscle memory, but you don't frequently use dummies. And that's why it's just so impressive that he was able to pull that out in such a big match. Yeah, as you can tell, I am clearly giving a lot of credit here to Tekkz. I mean, I watched that one back many, many times.
To do that under pressure, to think on your feet that quick, it really is amazing. And it's an example of the mammoth task presented to NRaseck, that he could play the perfect half, in Mike's words, and not be winning. You're up against a man who you have to be better than perfect to beat. And you've got a man in Tekkz who can pull out the extraordinary to get results. So right now, it's all even. It's a good game. It's a great game. Just the first leg, of course. Second leg still to come.
And we've seen Tekkz constantly reinvent himself. Not just formations, not just style of play, not just tactics, but even the skill moves, the way that he cuts inside. If you want to date back, Tekkz was one of the first, if not the first, really showcasing the meta of the flick-up crosses and some of the El Tornado crosses to go with the skill move combinations, the first time shooting. You got to think to yourself, is this man creating the meta?
Well, imagine being so dominant in a year that you've got a lot more than double the points of the next nearest person to you on the leaderboard, and having your tactics and whatever's been working for you up to this point, and then come into a tournament like this and changing formation. Imagine. He's done what he had to do every single tournament, more or less. He's always been up there, if not winning it, very close to winning it. And then he comes to the biggest tournament of the year so far, and he changes things up. And he's still, if not as dominant, potentially more dominant.
Well, people are adjusting to Tekkz because he's won all these events. All of that information is available. We can watch him play time and time again, whether it's skill moves, formations, tactical adjustments, you name it. It's open to the public.
Shout out to the Champions channel. You can watch the best games from Weekend League. Tekkz often has games in there, as do a lot of the pros. Chance for Tekkz! Van der Sar saves that one. It wasn't green timed again. We're actually seeing quite a lot of shots not green timed by Tekkz, which is unlike him. He's got a corner here, though. He's gone back post. Van der Sar's come across his box. Da Costa comes in forcefully, dispossesses Ruud Gullit. And definitely getting a bit more possession now, Tekkz, after he was starved a little bit in the first half.
I feel like he's growing into the match.
Usually you often have to wait to the second leg to see the best Tekkz, but right now we're getting a glimpse of it in the first. But NRaseck's got a chance. We need to keep talking about the German. It's easy to get distracted and concentrate on the Tekkz factor, but NRaseck has got something special. He's making waves, making progress. Ronaldo goes back to Gullit for NRaseck. Not under too much pressure. Neymar into Mbappe. What can NRaseck muster up here? Van Dijk, not once, but twice, getting the ball back for his team. It's the Tekkz throw-in. Rafael Varane is playing left back for Tekkz, if you're wondering why he's taking the throw-in. Lots of variants used at full-back in these teams still. Van Dijk is a must-have, though. Varane. Neymar down the line. Good space for Ronaldo. Dumfries behind him. Comes through the back. No free kick. We play on as Ronaldo finds Gullit. Gullit. Whole 360 turn there, but eventually cut out by Kai Havertz here for NRaseck. The German using one of the best German players in the game, if not the best. Mbappe. 1-2 option here with Ronaldo. Ronaldo fakes it though and goes inside instead to R9 Ronaldo, who finds Gullit. What can he do? He finds Neymar, who's onside. Neymar, heel to heel. Again, not green timed. You have to ask yourself, if some of these shots have been green timed, would they be going in?
And that's out of character from Tekkz to miss the time finishes. Something he takes pride in.
He was annoyed at himself in the interview for the fact that he didn't green time one of his goals. And now he's arguably costing himself goals by not getting the perfect timing. What's changed for Tekkz? Why is he not hitting it?
This is also pre-bathroom break Tekkz. After the first leg, even if we didn't have this big break, he always runs to the restroom. I think he has a phone call in the restroom personally. And then he comes back, and we have second leg Tekkz. Makes an appearance.
Who's he ringing?
I think he's ringing his mom.
His mum's obviously a huge part of Tekkz's career. She's super supportive. She's here in Germany. Shout out Mama Tekkz. Van Dijk. Dumfries. And NRaseck back on possession now. And I don't know why, actually. I felt like he was losing, but he's not. He's drawing. He's still in this game, and he could take the lead here. Just because of the nature of Tekkz's sort of comeback into this match, it feels like he's on top, but it's completely even. And lots of white shirts getting back very quickly for NRaseck's team. But Tekkz able to keep hold of the ball in a tight space. Varane comes through with a big tackle. Ruud Gullit tries to get another attack going for NRaseck, who turns back. And the Tekkz press is not stopping Ruud Gullit right now.
It's worth noting that NRaseck made changes as well. If you remember in the first half, he was using Mendy and Dumfries. We now have Da Costa, who's made an appearance as a left back. So you saw something he didn't like. He kept Dumfries on, so he went with more size, subbing Mendy out.
Gullit switching over to that new fullback, Da Costa. Into Ronaldo. Long down the line for Neymar here. Can he get across it? He's looking to create space. He does. He flicks it up. He crosses it in. Too near the keeper. Oh, that's a foul. Clash of heads there. Could have been dangerous. I'm happy to report Van der Sar is okay. Havertz does get a yellow card. There's no need for treatment for Van der Sar. Look at this. Kai Havertz. Naughty. Very naughty. Okay, only 6 minutes left of this first leg semi-final. Down the line here for Tekkz. Can he get a crucial goal here and take the lead into the second leg as he tries the Elastico, but Dumfries is equal to it. Interesting fact for you here. After beating Kurt in the last game, Tekkz is now using his controller he had a controller issue, so he's borrowed his buddy Kurt's controller. It's kind of like in the olden days when you defeated someone, you took their sword afterwards. Now, when you beat someone at FIFA, you take their controller and you use it until you lose.
Or even in football where they trade kits.
Yep, that's also an option. 1 minute left here. Neymar. Can he deliver for NRaseck and take a massive lead into the second leg? Only time for maybe 1 or 2 more chances. Vieira on the ball. Taking his time. Waiting for the perfect moment. Like Martin McCutcheon. Vieira. Hullet. Chance here. Can he do it? 30 seconds left on the clock. Flicked in. Vieira's there. That probably will be the last chance of the game. And NRaseck still with the ball. Are they going to let him deliver it? He needs to do it quickly or he's going to risk losing the chance. Mbappe, can he get it in? Tekkz on red alert to stop the cross. He does just that, nullifies the threat. Perfectly poised for the second leg, Mike, 1-1.
And well done for both players there at the end. And NRaseck recycles a couple times to make sure he gets the last attack. And then Tekkz just would not allow him to go forward. Therefore, every back pass, you take the risk of course, the referee saying, you've lost your advantage. We're going to blow the whistle for the second leg, or that's going to be the end of the first leg.
So let's think about that game there, obviously. 1-1. Tekkz.
Much about just because he's kind of 7th or 8th in the Global Series rankings. I think he's around there at the moment. And you're always looking at those sort of top 3, for example. But at this tournament, he's just reminded us why he is one of the best in the world.
I mean, you think of the last tournament when you go into a new tournament, and when we get to the E-World Cup, Dax was eliminated relatively early, Mega was eliminated relatively early, and Razek's still be jumping up to around 5th in the leaderboards. I mean, he is someone we need to watch out for as a potential threat, as a winner for the E-World Cup. And if he could beat Tekkz here, what a massive statement that would be as well, to go on to the playoff finals and then even possibly win the playoffs here.
And let's talk about the impact that man sat to the right-hand side of F2Tekkz, the left-hand side of your screen, Enzo, has had on his last few tournaments, because we have seen some serious adjustments, and we were making a little bit of a joke about how much that little red book is worth. And I mean, if he wins this game, then his value is increasing every single round.
Yeah, I just want the camera to get a close-up so I can read some of those strategies. But we've been discussing what's in that book and what Enzo offers. And I think a lot of the formations and the tactical substitutions we see in Tekkz's gameplay is probably because of discussions with that man next to him, with Enzo. He has added so much. But of course, the core of the gameplay is going to be produced by Tekkz. But having that little bit of analysis behind you is always going to round you out to be, well, the best player in the world right now.
Yeah, he's certainly shown us some of that mechanical genius on the pitch. Here we go then. For the final spot in our final, the second leg of this semi-final is back underway. It's essentially 0-0 here, 1-1 on aggregate. So nothing to split the two players. It's the German against the Englishman. And to be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea who's going to take this one.
It's hard to go against a man who has performed so incredible throughout this season in F2Tekkz, but at the same time, what NRaseck has offered at this tournament has shown he has the potential to win tournaments as well. And I'm sure that he will not be fearing Tekkz whatsoever as a man who has beaten him before. And really, it's all going to come down to whether Tekkz can get into those areas where he does perform at his best, when he can get into the box, where he can start using all those skill moves.
Well, here's NRaseck then. On that left-hand side, Van Dijk comes across. Deals with the danger. Vieira now spreading it out wide to Varane. And now, do you expect to see the same kind of slow build-up that we've seen from F2Tekkz throughout this tournament?
I do. I think he doesn't want to throw this away. It means so much for him to try and go into the E-World Cup as the #1, not to be thinking of, oh, he's just #1 throughout the entire season, but the #1 from the playoffs. And of course, that's 75,000. I think he's going to play it slow, he's going to play it methodical, and then he's going to take advantage when he does burst into areas like this.
Yeah, that was a great run there from R9, a surging run inside the box, and the finish is there to match the run. Cristiano Ronaldo steps up for Tekkz, and that's him taking the lead.
So many questions are asked about Tekkz in every single tournament. Is he going to carry on being as good as he is? Is he the greatest FIFA player we've seen of all time? I mean, there's so much discussion and deliberation around that fact, but I think he has the chance to prove it at the E-World Cup. And if he can carry on this form into the E-World Cup, I'm sure he's going to try and prove that point to everyone.
Absolutely no reaction, though, from NRaseck. I think he just wants to get back into the game. When you play against someone like Tekkz, you know, there's a likelihood he will score against you. It's just how you bounce back, how you answer back. And now it's up to the German. in his home country to try and find a way back into this game.
I think the scary factor is, though, so many times when people face off against Tekkz, they often find themselves ahead and then Tekkz comes back. But what about when he goes ahead?
Oh, and Mbappe had a shot at goal there, and almost from the restart we saw NRaseck answering back. Gets a little bit unfortunate there after charging down that attempted long ball. And Tekkz can now breathe a little sigh of relief and move forward himself. And Mbappe kind of becomes synonymous with some of the magic that is in the fingers of F2Tekkz. It usually happens at the feet of either Team of the Year, Kylian Mbappe, or Team of the Season, Kylian Mbappe. Both versions have featured heavily in what has been a fantastic season for the young Englishman. And here is that Frenchman now on the right-hand side. The drag back gets a little bit fortunate to keep possession. Into R9 Ronaldo. Vieira, great little spot. Ronaldo couldn't apply the finishing touch.
It's just so hard to keep up with Tekkz when he starts ping-ponging it around like that and playing those short passes, similar to what we saw in his game versus Kurt when they were both doing that to one another. But one thing Tekkz maybe will try and do better in this game is not give away easy goals.
Looks towards the back post. There is a man there.
Oh,
Mendy, oh no! It's a mess inside the 6-yard box. But Tekkz takes advantage. And it's now 2 goals to the good.
And just as we were giving compliments to Van der Sar earlier in the previous semi-final, he makes an absolute blunder there. And NRaseck finds himself 2 goals behind, and it's very difficult to pick yourself up after conceding a goal like that. Very unlucky for him. But you have to go again, and there we are. Do you see any words there you recognise?
Well, I can promise that putting it into the back post and having that happen is not inside that red box. However, if it is going in there now...
Does that say bring on Steven Gerrard? I think it might have done. Tekkz wrote that in himself.
I think it was... Mendy got a little touch on that one. It kind of diverted away from the goalkeeper, to be honest. Very unfortunate circumstances there for NRaseck. The F2Tekkz. It just seems like when his back's put against the wall, it's when he plays his best FIFA down.
But now NRaseck is going to have to show what happens when his back is against the wall. But he's going to really struggle to regain possession if Tekkz is passing it around the pitch so comfortably as he is at the moment. But thankfully, Dumfries does win that back, and now NRaseck can actually start to build on this and try and just hold a little bit more possession, get used to passing this ball around.
Well, Vieira using those long legs to stride into space. Goes out wide to Cristiano Ronaldo. Keeps his body between the defender and the ball. Mbappe, chance here for Neymar, goes inside, and Tekkz reads him like a book.
Yeah, Tekkz was just waiting for the turn there. He positioned himself with Virgil van Dijk to say, I can switch onto this player, and it doesn't matter if you go right or left. I think I've got you, and he did guess correctly. And it's fantastic defensive work once again from Tekkz, but better from NRaseck going forward. If he can keep creating those chances, eventually Tekkz is going to slip up. Eventually, NRaseck's going to get one of those shots on goal.
Well, Mendy wins the ball back. He was at fault for one of the goals that has given F2Tekkz this lead, and Neymar cannot hold off the physical presence here of 2 of Tekkz's players. And just a little point there, I think maybe the Tekkz of old would have gone direct there, but he's instead recycled the ball and found a fantastic ball to Neymar. Little roulette here, trying to get away from his man. Neymar somehow still has the ball as well. Ronaldo dispossessed by Cristiano Ronaldo in the colours of NRaseck.
It's almost like Tekkz just has fun when he has the ball on the edge with the likes of Mbappe and Neymar and just dances around and waits for the player almost to fall over in front of him, and then he makes his move. He certainly is one of the best at chaining together skill moves, and it's not just random guesswork with his thumbstick. He knows exactly which skill moves he tries to utilize and put together. He really is great to watch when he does get going.
You can see a little bit of the Tekkz finesse maybe starting to come to the boil here, and that signs danger for NRaseck. Here's Ronaldo. Back to Vieira, Cristiano Ronaldo. Great quick pass in here, it's phenomenal. And he just couldn't get into position to get the strike away. Well defended by NRaseck.
I mean, it's such good vision from Tekkz. And actually, if we compare it to any of the players that we've seen throughout this tournament, I'd probably compare it most to Kurt. And maybe it's Kurt's controller giving him this gift.
Huge chance here for NRaseck! And he buries it! Maybe now is not the time to be having fun for F2Tekkz. NRaseck wants to make a game of this, and now it's a one-goal game again.
Yeah, and NRaseck just found himself in a little bit more space than he's used to. Turned well in a brilliant finish to boot. Tekkz, unfortunately, just couldn't get his defenders in the right position. And very little he can do when Eusebio's through on goal with a chance like that. One of the best, if not the best, finishers in the game, and that's why we see him featured in so many of the lineups at this tournament. And well then, NRaseck right back into this now.
The German will not want to go down easily here in Hamburg. 3-2 on aggregate. Just before half-time, that goal as well. Now he just needs to switch on. Make sure that you don't let F2Tekkz have another striker goal just before the half-time whistle. The goalkeeper should get there, but he's made an absolute mess of it. Ronaldo's in the middle. Oh, my word, Van Dijk had to win that header, and luckily for NRaseck, he did.
Van der Sar, once again, not looking so good. Nicholas Rasek's is just going to be thinking, oh my God, thank goodness he's actually able to save that.
I mean, one of the things that I want to talk about is, as we have 45 minutes left in this game, is how good F2Tekkz is at holding on to a lead down. You can see one of the quotes that he said himself. It's something he's been working with.
Despite this quote, when we saw him go up against Kurt, he actually didn't look that good in the final few stages. He gave away 2 sloppy goals in terms of his own defensive work, and he needs to be better going into this game against Rasekk. Otherwise, Rasekk could turn this tie around, and we might see him go on to the final to face off against Stokes. And I think that's something Tekkz knows, and something that Tekkz will, I'm sure, be trying to work on in this tie.
Yeah, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that, and Rasek's going to keep the pressure on, keep testing just how far that game management will bend before it breaks. Havertz on the pitch here for NRaseck as well, I think. Team of the season, Kai Havertz, 95 rated. 5-star weak foot, 6'2". He's got it all as far as a FIFA 19 player is concerned. Rasekk defends the restart well here, and now he'll have possession.
And with that possession, I'd like to see him just try and dominate this midfield area. It's usually where he's been struggling to get the ball into that final third. But passes like that, they're very risky. I like it, though, because if he does get that touch and he makes it work, you've got a nice little 1-2 option to potentially get through on goal. And maybe it's one of those passes that Rasekk needs to get back in this game.
And I think Rasek's playing the 4-2-2 at the moment, because you can see there's 2 men up top, but it means there'll be more space in the middle. And Van der Sar, for all the criticism we've given him so far, has just made an absolute wonder save.
Wonder save, but it almost went under him as well. Very shaky does Rasek's goalkeeper look, but at least he's still only a goal behind. And it was that 4-2-2 which Rasekk played all the way back in Bucharest in that FUT Champions Cup when he beat Tekkz. So maybe he's just going for a formation of old and trying to play a little bit more aggressive here and try and get in the face of Tekkz. Not allow Tekkz just to be passing that ball around comfortably with that slow, methodical build-up. Instead, making him think quick on his feet.
Neymar can't get away from the attentions of Danny da Costa. Great tackle there from the young German fullback. And now Tekkz can come forward. You can see the run outside here of Cristiano Ronaldo. Tekkz elects to use Ronaldo and almost gets away from Van Dijk, but on the counter-attack now with this 4-2-2, you can see those 2 men up front. Tekkz has got to be so careful, committed players. And Rasekk is moving the ball absolutely beautifully forward here. Tekkz has held him up at the moment. And Neymar just couldn't squeeze that pass through. If that pass gets past that man, there's a real opportunity to strike on goal for Rasekk.
Yeah, and I think Rasekk knows. He knows how close he's getting, and interceptions like that is exactly what he needs. Because if he can manage to win that ball in dangerous areas when some of Tekkz's players are out of position, he should be able to penetrate that defense. He should be able to find that space he's been so desperately searching for.
Well, here's Ronaldo trying to turn away from the attentions again of da Costa, but Tekkz is so good at just reading the body shape of the player and deciding what way he's going to go. And Mendy is going to upend Mbappe. And that'll be a booking for the young Frenchman. And he's got to be careful now, especially in those full-back positions. We know how Tekkz likes to use Neymar, Mbappe, Ronaldo to attack those wide spaces. Now he's got to be extra careful when he makes those tackles.
And Tekkz playing that 4-4-2 as well. I mean, it is quite bizarre that we have seen him change formation in his final tournament of the season almost before that E-World Cup, and you saw he had the 4-1-2-1-2 set up as well. We used to see him with the traditional 4-2-3-1 that so many of the pros play at the moment. But now he's changed things up, and it seems to be working. He's undefeated so far this tournament, and we've seen him do that at several tournaments this year. Not only was he winning, but also he was going undefeated, which not many players have been able to do throughout FIFA.
His record speaks for itself, and his ability to reinvent himself across one title is something that you cannot give enough credit to. And now he's inside the box. The first time we've really been able to see him come forward for a little while. Vieira gets in the way for NRaseck, and now the German can come forward. He's got to be very wary of that game clock, though, in the top left-hand corner. 66 minutes on the clock as it stands. It might sound like a lot of time, but in FIFA 19, you've got to create your chances quickly. Mbappe tries to squeeze it back to Messi.
And now we really are going to see how comfortable Tekkz is at game management, at keeping that lead for the remainder of this game, at passing the ball around and almost keeping that ball away from NRaseck as much as possible, restricting his possession. Because if he does make one mistake, Tekkz, it's only a goal lead, and then suddenly that's Razek right back into the game.
That was a great run there from Neymar, and he was well found, but the power and the strength of Raphael Varane means he won't be able to cause too much damage. And Razek, Vieira just played that one behind Kai Havertz, and maybe an opportunity here. It couldn't be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, to be honest with you, because Rogues NRaseck has a chance to maybe make those final changes to potentially find a way back into this game.
Yeah, and you're going to be looking at just pushing everything up. Of course, we're on Tekksz's screen at the moment, and he's actually increasing his width a little bit there, and I am whispering it ever so slightly just so that players don't hear what is being changed on Tekksz's screen. But it is just probably chatting to his coach Enzo and saying, look, where do I need to be changing areas? Where am I lacking in defense? Which areas do you think Razek is going to be trying to target? And we didn't see Razek's screen. We didn't see what he was actually changing, but I would imagine you're just encouraging the majority of players to get up the pitch and just generate more pressure here on Tekkz trying to play this ball around.
Go and make yourself a hero, quite simply. Someone on the pitch needs to do so for NRaseck. Who potentially could that man be? First, he's got to get the ball off of Tekkz, who's shown his game management has been pretty impressive so far. Yes, Kurt did push him all the way, but he's got to put pressure on this ball, which means that Tekkz might be able to put pressure on him, but he brings it away, and Messi, great hold-up play from the little Argentinian maestro to get past his man and invite some more players forward. Here comes NRaseck. Messi, edge of the box here. Lacks touch from R9, though, and that's disappointing in that area.
Great sliding tackle, though, from Tekkz, and one thing he's very good at doing is taking advantage of players, pushing people up the pitch, leaving gaps at the back.
And here is one of those gaps being exploited now. Neymar,
defend.
all the way across.
Defend.
Composure, calmness, F2Tekkz.
And that should be the goal that takes him to the final. And no wonder he's trending on Twitter, because he is a boy wonder. He is the special one. But we have to give credit to that coach behind him as well. Even he's celebrating because he knows what it means, getting that 2-goal advantage going into these final stages of this second leg.
And it can't be understated in that kind of situation. Just to think of that extra pass across, just to give yourself the highest percentage chance of guaranteeing yourself a goal there from Tekkz. Great thinking from him. And you can see NRaseck here, so close to that final here in Hamburg. But if it was a tough job before that goal went in, well, I just got a heck of a lot tougher.
It's almost like Tekkz was waiting and waiting for Razek to push people up, to get a little bit more aggressive, to leave those slots in behind. And as soon as he noticed it, he pounced on that opportunity. He got more aggressive, and now he's been rewarded with a second goal as well. Of course, Razek still does have time to get back into this. We saw the late goals that were conceded by Tekkz in the quarter-final. 10 minutes left. A goal here from the restart, and then it's, once again, game on.
Well, Messi, he's not going to get a chance to go forward because Ruud Gullit will step in. And like he does, just gets rid of any danger before it becomes threatening. R9 dropping deep here for F2Tekkz. And Varane again looking to release. Neymar on that left-hand side. All right, Nicholas Razek, it's now or never. And it looks, unfortunately for the German, like it might be the latter.
And there's loads of space out there on the left-hand side as well, and Tekkz has an option now. He can either just keep this ball or he can go for glory here, but unfortunately he doesn't even get the choice because that's good defending from Nicholas Razek to give him the chance once again to attack and get a goal back.
Well, Messi picks the ball up, and Mendy's going to continue his run from fullback. We'll get control of the ball, and Hullet again just stepping in, but Hullet might actually win that back. Tekkz is under pressure here. Havertz now onto the left foot, chance for Razek, waits, cannot beat the goalkeeper.
Van der Sar with a huge save there, but still danger from the corner. He needs a goal here for any sort of opportunity.
Cricketer from Messi, across the box, and Havertz completely fluffs his lines.
And that should be game, and that'll be Tekkz going through to yet another grand final where he will face up against Rebel Stokes. An incredible tournament from Nicholas Razek, but Tekkz again putting on a show.
And there might be time for one more. Van der Sar will come out. It has been a great run from Nicholas Razek. Both players will be at the FIFA E-World Cup, but it's F2Tekkz who once again will advance to the final.
Yeah, and you saw a big old smile on his face as well after he completed that victory, and a deserved victory too. He was able to keep Nicholas Razek at bay, restrict his chances, but then of course he pounced at the right time. He took advantage of Nicholas Razek pressing